Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and today we are going live to do our beautiful Hope Daisy. So it's a really pretty pink daisy, and we've got our trace lined up. I do want to give you a visual on this. So this is our starting place. We've got our template, and then we're going to talk about tracing too. And then I'll also be making a traceable version of this online as well, because I discovered, and I'm really discovering a lot more as I do more and more of these online. It's funny how you get connected to audiences in different ways. But the tracing, I take it for granted with talent. You know, when you have innate talent, you just know things. But if you're the student, sometimes figuring out where all these petals go can be just a real mind-blowing experience. And we don't want that. We want it to be easy. So I will definitely do a traceable for you as well, because you have to be able to figure out which petals come in the foreground and then which fall behind. So I do all of that loveliness for you, and I promise I will prepare that traceable for you as well. So I'll have that for you with the kit. So there's that, there's our trace all ready to go. Now let me show you the model here too. So we've got some really fun textures. This is really fun and different. It's a really fun pounce effect. So we have a lot of that going on. All right, and then I've got some paint. I've been painting a lot already, so I've got my paint plate has already got a lot happening here. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the background colors first. So I've got all my supplies set up. I've got my brushes and my paper towels, rags, a little bit of water nearby, all of my paint. Yippee! And thanks for the little love emojis, those are awesome. All right, so I'm going to start with my mama brush. This is the biggest brush that we have here in our kit. And I'm going to start by doing all this beautiful turquoise in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and do our color blocking first. And as a matter of fact, all the color blocking does come in without texture first. So it's just smooth color to begin with. Then I will follow up with some really fun texture as a following step. All right. So I am actually just starting off here with a dry brush. You can certainly add a little bit of water to it as you go to make the paint more fluid. However, one little quick caution, if you will. If you are painting at home, which of course you are, lay it flat on your table if you're going to add a little bit of water. That way you can definitely move it around, but you don't have to worry about water runs that way. So sometimes I feel like with these smaller canvas size, you can go ahead and lay it flat. Let's see, oh my God, I was looking at your site to order one. I can't make up my mind. Yay, that's what we want to hear. I know, we have like a ton of them. Yes, and thank you, that's a great compliment. And hi, Rhonda. Okay, so I am working in a vertical state, so my brush will just be moist, but no excess water. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a nice big dollop of the white. Hi, Kathy. And then a dollop of the blue. And then a dollop of the cadmium green. And then I'll tell you what else. I can also add a little bit of the viridian to this too. So that beautiful viridian adds a nice little teal quality. I always like to give a visual on this because it's kind of an unusual color, but I absolutely love it. So, so yes, mix all three of those. It's just about equal parts to begin with. So again, blue, white, and cadmium green. And then that little touch of viridian really pushed it to the teal. So that's bringing that in is definitely going to bring it more to that. Now, if you want to keep it more in that world of blue, then just, of course, just add a little bit more blue in, but you can certainly play with the mix on this a little bit here on your plate. You're pushing those back and forth. Don't y'all love my fancy paint plate? Isn't that cute? I'll tell you a secret. I got it at Dollar Tree. You know, these things are so beautiful. Like my husband was looking at them going, oh my gosh, these could be like lightweight frames on our walls. I mean, how redneck are we? Like we can, we can take plates from Dollar Tree. Oh, you know what? They weren't Dollar Tree. I apologize. They were Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby. So almost in the same realm, but yeah, so we got them at Hobby Lobby, but they're really heavyweight. And they look like a big, this is not a good example. Let me show you these. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but look at how pretty those are. So he was thinking we could put this artwork in the center of it, and they could be frames, and then we could hang them on the wall. It's like, oh, what a lovely frame. Yes, thank you. It's our paper plates. Yeah. So it's really, but it is really pretty, and it's super fancy, and they're super cheap. I mean, they're just amazing. So that's my plug for Hobby Lobby today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and position this into all the background here, all this beautiful turquoise color. You can also do a little bit of white with this too. And again, if you want to make it more blue, you absolutely can. So I'm going to give you some different options here on texture. So one way to go ahead and put on texture in the background will be to do our little classic cross stroke. So it looks like you make little X's over and over and over again. So that is definitely one way. I get all this color down first, and then I'm going to show you the fun textural way. All right, so the fun texture way is you push into the paint, and then you just tap, tap, tap on the side of the brush. So it creates a lot of that texture. And then as you're going, you continue to tap into different colors as you go. So that's how we get that really pretty texture. And sometimes I feel like it can help to go ahead and do all the base of the color first. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to get all of our color blocking down first. That way we have a nice wash of background color to really give a lot of support for that texture that will come in later. And that way you won't have any transparency, and it'll be super thick and beautiful by the end. But if you're not into all that texture, just know that you can go for a more fluid, smooth look. So again, that would be like making those beautiful little cross strokes back and forth. I do mix it up a little bit here too, so I cross back and forth between my white, maybe then a little bit of blue, and then also that turquoise that we mixed up. So that's an option. Another option is you can always just sweep it on back and forth in a nice horizontal stroke too. So that's also a really beautiful fluid look. So that kind of, again, let me show you what that looks like. So you can just sweep it on. You'll have to do your cut-in work here where you do have to hold the brush a little bit differently, more like a line edge, like a pencil, hold it like a pencil, and then do that line edge around those shapes. But then you can always just sweep it out in nice horizontal strokes too. So lots of fun options with our background today. And right now I'm just doing what I call that color blocking stage. I'm just sweeping it all on to begin with. When I get near the edge here, I do want to make sure, regardless of whether or not you have a frame or not, I always want to overlap just slightly so that I don't have any exposed white on the edge. And then here's the basic rule of thumb here on your canvas. So basically, if you are going to have a frame, then you don't have to paint all the sides because your frame will just cover that up. Unless, of course, you use the frame that we talked about using from Hobby Lobby, in which case you want to go ahead and paint those sides. Or you can go ahead and paint all the sides all the way to the back. And then that way you can just hang it as is anywhere, and it's just beautiful, just stand alone as it is. That's always a nice finishing touch. All right, so again, still working on our turquoise. Let's do a recap on that color mix here. We've got a dollop of the blue, and then a dollop of the white, and let's do a little dollop of the green. I gotta watch my green over here, make sure there's no red in there. That would not be good. And I try to pay attention and not hold my plate. I want y'all to see the mix, but I also have to watch my color mixes. They're starting to run a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and sweep this all the way across. Again, just doing a nice wash of background color over that surface. because we will come back in later and we're going to do a lot more texture over the surface, and it will be really, really pretty. So this is just a nice, easy way to get coverage over the surface quickly. Just sweep it back and forth. And then when I cut in, remember, you want to, instead of holding the brush more over to the side that we do when we're filling in large areas with a horizontal stroke, then we want to go ahead and turn that brush more like a pencil and then get that line edge. See, that will really help us. So I'll go ahead and do that cut-in work first. And then we'll just fill in. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so now it is time to definitely go into the realm of all kinds of beautiful pinks. So I need to go ahead and get a different brush here. I'm just going to rest my mama into the water here. Hello, Terry. Howdy. So does this look familiar to you? I can't remember if you've done this painting or not. All right, so I'm taking my mama brush and I'm going to go ahead and do a beautiful pink. So here are some of my options. I've got a primary magenta. So standalone, this looks like a really nice, beautiful hot pink. Hi, Donna. So a primary magenta, and then I've got some cadmium red, and then I'll have some white. But I definitely want to bring some of that magenta into the red to make it a little bit cooler, and then I'll add the white to that. And then that will give me a lovely pink. All right, so what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and do some lighter shades of pink in front and then some darker shades of pink in the back. So in order to get some darker shades of pink, I will use less white and more red, or just even a little bit more magenta. In fact, I'm going to grab a little bit more. I went ahead and I grabbed all my magenta and pushed it into the white. That was not good. So I'm going to do one more dollop of magenta. All right, so there it is. There's my bright, bold, beautiful magenta. I'll push into more of that and I'll get, so I know this little guy right back here, I want this to be a darker pink in the background. This is one of those little petals that is in the back, so it'll be a little bit darker. All right, and then again, into this mix, I'm dipping a little bit more into the magenta. Hello, Deborah from West Virginia. Yay! Yes, this can actually be all yellow too if you want. You can make this any color. This same template I've done white, yellow, now I'm doing it pink. I love this shape. It's very versatile. All right, now what? Now let's see, let's go into this one. So let's do a little bit more of this hot pink here in the background. And paint into all this little shape back here. And again, this is a higher concentration of that primary magenta, little bit of white, tiny amount of red. And then this guy will be a little bit here in the back. It's a little bit random. Nature is that way, very random. There's not, you can make it very uniform and go every other petal if you want to. But on mine, it's going to be just pretty random. Because actually, I do remember that the photograph that I went from was a bit random. It wasn't exactly every other petal being dark and light. Let's see, I'll do this one. And then this guy. All right, so those are going to be my darker hot pinks. Then I'm going to move in with a much lighter pink, so I will use a lot more white. So I'll take that same brush and just push into a lot more white here. So that'll really lighten it up. And then I'll start to position this into those little petals. And the good news is, now I do encourage you to go ahead, when working at home, you can let a lot of this set up and dry before you move into the next step. But if you do happen to pull in a little bit of turquoise, the blend is not too scary if it goes into that pink, because it tends to go to like the violet stage. Basically the blues mix with the reds and they make purples. So it's still really a nice lovely mix if that happens. And I had just a slight hint of turquoise run into my pink. And that may happen again, but it's still really beautiful, so it's okay. All right, still just doing really good coverage over the top. So what's really nice about this painting, it can be incredibly simple to begin with, and you can leave it that way, or you can add more of the texture that we'll add later. But even at this very simple stage, it's really quite lovely. So in that way, it's definitely great for all stages. For beginners, or even those wanting to, you know, give themselves a little bit more of a challenge with learning something new. Today is a very busy day here for us in Guthrie. We have a live show. That sounds, I'm so used to saying live show, but this is a live show. We have like an in-person show. Well, this is in person too, but I mean like, you know, like in the same room. Person show. I'll figure out a way to say this. People always go, okay, in studio, yes, in studio show, yes. I've got people actually coming to our studio this evening. So, yeah, we're being brave, and we're gonna try to do it every week. So, getting a pretty snazzy face covering collection. But the good news is, out here in Guthrie, our numbers are super low out here. So, that is wonderful. And then, of course, we have a really big studio. Our studio is, well, we used to have big, giant shows in here, about 100 people. And so we can spread people out over about 5,000 square feet. So today, I think we'll have close to 20, and they can all be socially distanced, very socially distanced, very safe. So I think it makes people feel really comfortable, so. Yay, pink. Okay, so now I need to do my center, and I do want this to be a little bit darker with a little bit more orange. So let me get some of that. I've got some different paints here nearby. All right, so I have just some beautiful orange here, and Push a little bit of that into the mix. All right, so I've got my orange and that magenta, and we're gonna go with a little bit of that together. So orange and magenta, and I actually didn't even clean off my brush. It's okay to have those other colors still in the mix. But I do want this to be a little bit darker and a little bit warmer. So I went in with about equal parts magenta and orange. And of course it still has a little bit of that residual pink on there too from before, from the petals. They're so close in the same color family that it's going to be a really nice mix. It'll work really well together. All right. So very beautiful. We have all of our color blocking done now. And I'm going to give you some further options here. Hi, Billy. Okay, so we're still going to do texture, lots of texture, but I do want to show you some options too. So one option is to keep it more smooth and fluid like this if you like the look of this. And then I recommend coming in with your little bit brush and doing a little bit of white. And I think it's really fun to go ahead and push in a little white accent into each one of those petals. And then what you can do from here too is you can also softly blend into this. So then I'll take that same little bit brush, push it back into that pink, and then wherever we just put white, I'll softly go over the top of that and just kind of softly blend that in. So this of course is just one option. And then after this, I'll go ahead and go into a little bit more of that really fun pounce effect so you can see that. All right, so we have a lot of that to go ahead and do here in all of our background. And I'm going to use, you can use the biggest brush that you got. I'm definitely going to do that. And I'll just take that brush and I'm going to go ahead and push it down into pure colors on my plate here. So I'm going into that blue, for example. I'll start with that, and I'll just start to pounce that on over the top. And it probably grabbed a little bit of white too, but that's good. And then I'll grab a little bit of white, be more intentional with that. And then a little bit of the green. So I'll get a nice soft blend as I go. And I may get into trouble. I'm seeing a potential accident here. So see how I've got that big dollop of red sneaking in there? I need to get that out of the way because that is that goes to a really dark muddy color. So I want to make sure and eliminate that from causing me grief later. All right, and then I am going to add a little bit more green. Let me get some more greens going. That took out, I kind of diminished a lot of my green potential on my plate, so I'm going to add more green down low. So I did, let me show you all that real quick. Bright yellow green, I did some of that. And then, what else? Cadmium green, let's do some more of that. All right, now we can relax a little bit. I don't have big sneaky dollop of red trying to sneak into my paint here. All right, so I'm going to keep pushing down, basically kind of using that side of the brush into the blue and then just hit all over the surface here. So this is a really fun, therapeutic way to paint. Really nice, fun way to add texture. If you need to get some stress out, this is a great way to do it. This is a really fun way. This is also a fun way. I need to teach a class on this. I don't even know that I have it listed. I have hundreds and hundreds of paintings, so sometimes it takes me a while to get them all posted, but I have one with hydrangeas. I think I said that right. Okay, so yes, those beautiful flowers. Love those. So this is a great technique for making those as well. So pounce, pounce, pounce. And then you notice how we did all the color blocking to begin with, and I think it really helps. So, and here's a good reason why. So the pounce effect is very therapeutic, very fun. However, it's not too forgiving when it comes to coming in around details. Hi, Larry. So this way I can get pretty close, but I still have that beautiful color blocking that we already did in the beginning. So that helped me do the precision work, and then I can just get real close to that with that pounce, pounce, pounce. And then I can be really fun and loose and free, and I don't have to worry about trying to be too precise near the edge of that flower. So that really helps me. So again, this is just a lot of blue, a lot of white, and every now and again I can also dip into a little bit of that green in there too, and that pushes it to like a turquoise color. This is also a really good task for a really old brush that you don't care about. In fact, if you start to really fall in love with this process, then I would recommend almost getting a really, you need it to be a nice brush that is pretty stiff so that it can maintain its shape. So I'm a big fan of actually just Taklon synthetic brushes. So I think those tend to be quite a bit firmer, and they really hold their shape a lot more, much better for this type of process. And what's even more nice about that is they're super budget friendly too. So Taklon brushes, gold Taklon, white Taklon, they're all very affordable. And they're my favorites. I mean, I just don't even, like if I see natural horsehair or anything like that, they're so soft, I don't enjoy using those at all. Alright, so this is looking so pretty, and again, this is what I call the pounce effect. It's very pretty, very textural. So I'll get real close. Alright, so there's all of our background, there's all that beautiful texture happening. And you're welcome to play with that as much as you want, and add a lot more white if you want to. I'll tell you something else that's pretty too, is to maybe add a little touch of violet in there too. Let's go ahead and, when in Rome, let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. I think it would be kind of fun, a little bit dramatic. All right, so again, violet is our really pretty purple color. And so I'll do just a little bit here on my plate. And so I can push that into my sky here too. And it immediately softly blends with that existing white paint in the background and goes to like a lavender color. Yay! Hi Jamie, hi Leota, thank you. So you can try that out, see if you like it. If not, it's pretty easy to kind of blend back out. Like you can just add a lot more blue and white to it. Kind of soften it back out a little bit. And then if you wanted to do a little bit more of what looks like cloud cover in the background, you can do that too just by adding a lot more white. So again, just be a lot more heavy-handed with more white over the surface, and then I think that will look like little clouds in the background. All right, pretty. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea of some different colors to play with back there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go into our beautiful flower. Still going to be using a bigger brush. I'm going to let this one rest into the water. I always do that with my brushes until I get a chance to get them cleaned up, because if I let them rest without water, they will harden up and become like sticks. So we don't want that. So acrylic paint sets up and dries very quickly. So you do want to rinse them out, but if you don't have a chance to get to them, just make sure you put them in your water and they'll be fine. All right, so now we're going to take a bigger brush and we're going to do a nice soft blend over the top here with that pounce effect. And I'm going to start with the darker pinks first. So I'm going to come back in with that magenta. Get some little fresh dollop of that. And then I've already got lots of white nearby. So here is my magenta right here. So I'll go ahead and touch into the side like that. And then I'll just pounce right over the top. And then as I work, I'll do a little touch of that white into that magenta. And then pounce over the surface. So it gives that really fun texture. And I accidentally touched into a little bit of orange, but I actually really like it. So it's fun how that works out. Sometimes you pick up another color. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Most of the time, it works out pretty well. All right, so lots of this beautiful magenta, and just pounce it on. So you just kind of hold the brush more like a pencil. And this is where you can let out all your frustrations. Nice textural stroke there. And you can add a little touch of white too. That will bring out even more texture. All right, so let's go over to this one. Make sure I get over the edge here. I don't want any white peekaboo in front. Just pounce, pounce, pounce over the top. And then a few more little petals. Well, I'm really kind of digging on that orange, actually. I like the fine texture of it. So I'm going between a lot of that magenta. That turned out to be a nice happy accident. I didn't intend to start with so much orange, but I'm really liking it. So lots of magenta and orange, and just kind of back and forth. I'm going to do a little bit right here too. All right, and then I want to go ahead and get a little bit of that darker texture happening in the center. So I'll do magenta and orange and just pounce it all out here over the top. And as I go, just a little bit of white too. So between the white and the orange and the magenta. And then if you want to make each little dot, almost like little dot effects happening in each one, go more on just the tip of the brush and then make that a little bit more delicate. So it's still that effect, but you want to come in just more, instead of the whole flat side of the brush pouncing, again, just the tip of it there, and that makes for a little bit more of a pixelated effect, more of a dot-like effect happening over the top. All right, loving that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add a lot more white now. Do more of a light pink happening, but still very textural. So more red and white now at this point. So same brush, and I'll go ahead and pounce into all these petals here. And it's a little more orange than I want, so I'm going to do a quick little wipe on a paper towel. Let me give you a visual on that. So it's just kind of a time saver. I don't mind the hues that my brush has collected, but it's a little bit much on the orange, so I'm just wiping off the excess here. And then I feel like I'm good to go, and then I'll go ahead and go right back into that pink and then a little bit of red. But I wanted to get a little bit more of just a pure pink happening. So again, white and red. Again, if you need cheap therapy, this is it. Just bounce into it. All right, I got a little over the line on that. Oh, there we go. Okay. Just white and red. And then it looks like, yeah, one more. All right. Now we need to do a little bit of the accentuating marks that come in between, but still keep it really textural. So I will switch over to a smaller brush. And I want to go ahead and do a little buddy brush. And then I'm going to do, let's see, I try a little bit of this black here. I have a different color in the model, but I'm going to try something a little bit more dramatic today. So I'm going to do a little bit of red and a little bit of black. So red and black, that'll give me like a really pretty crimson color. So it's mostly red. Let's keep picking up bigger dollops of red there. And then I just did a little tiny touch of that black in there. All right, so now I've got a pretty good amount there. Again, big dollops of red. Hi, Audrey. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Leetta. Hi, Larry. But then I can't see anybody else. But hello, everybody out there. All right, so now, oh no, I touched in the green. Sloppy, sloppy. Got near that little green. Hold on a second. Well, okay, so here's what's not going to be too tragic about that. Green is actually used a lot to mix in with black, so it'll just go to a black hue in there, so I'm still safe. But otherwise, it could be bad, so when in doubt, just rinse out, dry off, and start again, but I'm okay. All right, so I'm going to do quick little taps around the edges here, and I might even go into just a little bit of black to get a really nice dark tap to help accentuate all the way around in here. And I'll take this all the way around. So it's a line, but it has some fun little organic texture to it. And I'm going to take this, now I'm going to soften up. The colors are getting lighter as I go out, so I'm going to soften up to more of that crimson. And then I'm going to tap that with a little bit more thickness towards the center, and then as I get out to the outside of the petal, then I'll lighten up with a light hand. It becomes a little bit lighter there. But I'm definitely tapping in with that darker crimson color right here around the circle. And then each little space here where the petals are connecting to the center, I also kind of tap into a little bit of a V shape right there. So one line down for the V and then another line up for that V. And then I'll do a light little tap all the way down. So let me show you that again. So again, here's the beginning of that V and then another. See, that's how it starts. There's that little V shape, and then I'll pounce into the center. And then I'll just tap, tap, tap. And then I can just get real light as I go, just kind of barely kind of taper it out. So I basically let my pressure off as I get farther out here, lighter and lighter hand until it just kind of trails off there. So there's that little V to connect, and I filled in. Still working with that crimson, little tiny taps. And then one here. And do real light little taps right here to separate the two petals. Just a real light tap on that. And then don't forget about that little gradual V shape as you get closer to the center of the flower. And that helps connect it to that center, but in a gradual way. Couple more here. And then as I work in here a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do just one more light tap, tap, tap around the ring here. The circular shape inside. And as I pounce in with this smaller brush, of course it gives me a smaller pattern effect that's happening, which is really nice. And I'm heavy-handed just around that edge and then as I start to work my way towards the middle of this circular shape, then I lighten up my pressure, make it lighter and lighter and lighter. All right, beautiful. Okay, so that is our awesome textural effect. And of course I gave you options. You can do the really smooth fluid look that we showed you in the beginning, or you can come in for that pounce effect and do more of that afterwards too. And then of course there's always the option of doing words as well. And so with that, we are creating online to where we can use graphite paper and the words, and you can actually just transfer it onto your painting, but make sure you let it set up and dry before you do that. And then if you just want to do it old school and write yourself, which is also beautiful, then you can go ahead and just use a pencil, and you can use a ruler too if you want to get a nice line, if you're a little bit more, you know, just cautious about that. But you can go ahead and, or free spirits, you can just write it out here, just like that. And then I do encourage you to wait till your canvas is all set up and dry though, just in case. It does make it a little bit easier. And then I will go ahead and take my little bit brush, and I'll do that little twist here into the paint. That'll give me a nice fine point. And then, boy, I gotta see. I can't see what I've done. Boy, that light's catching it. Oh well. I'll see it later. I get the glare of studio lights, and so if I looked at it head on, I could see it, but then y'all wouldn't see the painting, so that won't work for me. This is also definitely a stage where having a little bit more water in your brush makes this part a little bit more fluid, but you definitely want to have the canvas flat so that you don't get any water runs. Because right now I'm getting a little bit of that dry brush effect. And then see that little loop I just did? You always want to go around the outside of the loop too as that first stroke, that way you don't close off your loop. So I always make sure that my stroke goes around the loop and not on the inside, that way I don't lose that shape. And then I'm going to add just a touch of water here. But I have to be really careful that it's not too excessive, so I don't want to get any water runs. Of course, that could be a teachable moment. So there's that. But I just need to be a bit more fluid here in some of these areas. And then the other thing too to keep in mind is that a little bit of a dry brush effect with your lettering can also be quite desirable. So that's actually becoming pretty popular now with different fonts, as they actually have some intentional dry brush effect that happens. Yay! Okay, so there is our beautiful painting. And then of course you can sign your masterpiece as well. It's the same technique as your lettering up here. You just want to make sure and get that nice twist with your little bit brush. That helps out a whole lot. All right, so just as a recap, what we have for you on our website here too, we've got all those beautiful paints that come with it and the brush set. And then we've got the template, and then we're also starting to shift gears over to like a traceable with graphite paper, which is actually a lot easier for getting in all these more intricate lines there, so it's really, really helpful. But all that's for you at tipsyartist.com. So look for that if you want to do this beautiful painting. And then if you are local and you're looking forward to doing a little show with us here in Guthrie, Oklahoma, then y'all should head out. So we've got plenty of room for y'all. It's going to be fun. I'm putting out every single painting that I've done since, well, like in 3 or 4 months. I have over 70 paintings, and I've got all the templates, and I'm just letting everybody pick out whatever they want to do. So it's going to be super, super amazing and fun. So there's a lot of paintings out there to choose from, so it's going to be awesome. All right, so y'all have a beautiful Saturday, and if you can, join us in Guthrie tonight at 6:30. If not, then I will see you back here online tomorrow at 12:30. But y'all have a gorgeous day. We'll see you soon. Mwah.